Welcome to Emtron Training Part 21. In this training tutorial, we're going to take a look at working with our long-term fuel trim correction. That's part of our lambda correction we looked at in a previous video. Also taking a look at our lambda compensation tables and how they fit in to the target lambda main table and why we want to use them. We're going to have a lot to cover. Let's jump in so we can check this out. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at working with our long-term fuel trim control, as well as taking a look a little bit later in the tutorial at our lambda offset tables and how they fit into our lambda control or target lambda. We've already talked about our fuel and airflow modeling pretty extensively in our Emtron, so we should understand all of that. But we want to go and expose some of these tables that we haven't discussed yet in our training courses. Now, what we're going to do here is first begin the video talking about our long-term fuel trim control, how it has a place or a purpose within the operation of the Emtron. Do we want to use it? Do we not want to use it? Well, we need to understand what the purpose is going to be so we can make that decision if you want to integrate it into your fuel calibration process. Now, first thing I want to do is just quickly go over the closed loop lambda control. We had a dedicated video on this. We focused on this specific topic for a decent amount of time, so you should understand everything I'm talking about here at the beginning of the video. I'm going to just condense everything from that tutorial down into the first few minutes here, just so we can understand where we're at in terms of the lambda control, and then we can move into talking about the long-term fuel trim because that needs to fit into that lambda control. First thing we need to understand is that within the lambda control is that we're going to be utilizing a lambda sensor to measure the oxygen content in our exhaust stream. If we have more oxygen, we'll have a leaner mixture. If we have less oxygen, we have a richer mixture. So we can essentially indirectly determine how much fuel we're delivering to the engine. If we're overfueling the engine running it rich or underfueling the engine running it lean, we'll know all that based on a lambda sensor that's fitted into the exhaust that's wired into the Emtron. Now, from there, we can take that lambda sensor measurement and we can compare it against a target lambda of where we want to run at within the operation for our engine. So at idle and part throttle, we'll find that we command a leaner lambda mixture. As we get up into higher loads, we command a richer lambda mixture. Now, by knowing what our lambda target or the desired lambda we want to run our engine at is going to be, we can compare the actual lambda measurement reading from our lambda sensor, compare it to the target, and we can calculate what's known as an error, or the difference between the actual and the target. So we can take a look down here in my dash panel. I have my lambda target, I have my actual lambda. We can see right here at idle, they're very close. Now, the Emtron is going to be starting to work with and calculate a channel called our lambda 1 target error, or the lambda target error, and we can find that down here. This is reporting back to the Emtron how far off our actual is from the target. Now, depending on how far this is going to be, how far our difference is going to be, we're going to be applying a percentage update change to the injector pulse width that's calculated from our fuel and airflow modeling. The percentage change will multiply that actual pulse width by a certain percent to increase or decrease it so that the actual lambda hits the target. That's the purpose of the short-term fuel trim adjustment. And we can find that represented right here. So we see sensor 1 short-term fuel trim. We can find here it's adding a couple percent right now at idle. So we're going to find this is going to allow us to expose what type of changes we might need to make into our air fuel modeling. So right now I'm off by 6-7%. That would tell me that the area here in my table might need to be updated. Now, if we're plus or minus 5%, that means we're relatively close in terms of the represented pulse width coming from our air and fuel modeling to where we need to be at. So when I'm plus or minus 5% of adjustment in my short-term adjustment, I'm not going to go in and start to tweak out or change any major things within my fuel air modeling. If I'm finding a huge deviation or difference and the short-term trim is reporting back 20% off or 30% off, well, then there's something wrong. I need to go in and correct that. Either I'm going to do that in my fuel modeling side or my airflow modeling side. Now, either way, in this situation, the short-term fuel trim adjustment is essentially trying to take care of the difference between the actual and the target, getting us always close to the target. Now, we've talked about the programming details for the short-term adjustment within the lambda control. So we know we have to go and update here. Let's just quickly run through this under engine functions. We know we have our lambda control setup. This is turning on or off the lambda control options and functionality. Obviously, in this situation, we've turned it on. We have our lambda transport table that's going to be measuring how quickly the lambda sensor can actually react to a change in injector pulse width when it starts to richen things up. how quickly that lambda moves to the reaction in the pulse width. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.